Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing part 1 of The Awakening. This was sent to me recently by one of my subscribers, Simon, who's sent me a few things before. I always appreciate it, Simon. Thank you very, very much. This is the last Peter Davison story that I haven't seen, and the final 80s Doctor Who story that I haven't seen. Part 1's alright. It's definitely got some stuff going I like for it. I can't decide if I like the incidental music or not. It is kind of, I don't know if it's historically fitting for the period, but it sounds like the kind of music you would hear in like a medieval, setting in like the 1200s. I just can't make up my mind if I like it or not. The Master is definitely the Master in this. It's obviously Anthony Ainley. I knew the Master was in this story going in, but like, sometimes he's disguised so well, you might not recognize him, like when he's the Portreeve in Castrovalva. I remember that catching me off guard the first time I saw Castrovalva. But here, it's like, yep, that's Anthony Ainley. He looks like Anthony Ainley. He sounds like Anthony. It's very obviously Anthony Ainley. So, at the cliffhanger, when it's actually revealed to be the Master, I'm like, I know. And I'm pretty sure the king has got to be Chameleon in disguise because, the king is supposed to be in London. That's the big thing. The king is in London. The one knight who just showed up is like, I just left the king in London 4 hours ago. So obviously, the king can't be in two places at once. So Chameleon is obviously impersonating the king, I'm guessing. The guy playing the king, or Chameleon disguised as the king, or what have you, is good. I like him. I don't know if part of it's the costume design, but I just like him. One of my favorite parts is when he's playing on that, a lute or whatever it is he's playing, the banjo lute like that, whatever. It's said in the story, I just don't remember. When he's playing it, a lyre or a lute, I forget. When he's playing it, the little song he sings, I like that. I really liked that part. I don't know, I was sitting there, right as he was singing with it, and it's doing the fun camera shots of everybody just having a good time. I really liked his singing. The actor he had a good voice for it. I really enjoyed that scene. The jousting part was kind of at the beginning. Didn't really get into the jousting stuff. It was okay. The footage looked a little rough for me. Maybe I've just gotten spoiled by watching the Blu-rays to where the DVD just looks a little rough. I do think my region-free player, the colors look a little darker than when I'm watching something on my Xbox, just slightly. Maybe that's part of it. Davison's all right in this. That's not one of his best performances, but he's fine. It's interesting watching the Doctor, noticing little things aren't right. The fact that the king shouldn't be there, he should be in London. Watching him get curious, because the Doctor just in general has an insatiable curiosity. But the Fifth Doctor, it's really noticeable. I loved in Black Orchid when he even says that, why do I always let my curiosity get the better of me? You see that here, his curiosity of him just, why is something wrong here? What is it that's wrong? I do like that. You can really see that on his face really well. The guest actors seem to be doing fine. The guy playing the guy who lives in the castle, I don't know what his name is or his role is. I'm terrible with names. But the guy who owns the castle, the one whose son gets challenged to the duel at the beginning, he's doing a good job. His wife has a very regal presence. She doesn't have a lot of lines, but the few she has is really good. She really has this very queen bearing to her. This really royal presence, prim and proper. And I like that. She does that well. She's doing a lot with what little she's given. The actor playing the son, the character of the son feels a little two-dimensional, so it might not be the actor. Young, brash, full of honor, and there's not much to him at this point. But the actor, I guess, is again doing the best with what he's got. And those are really the main players that have had stuff to do. The cliffhanger is very. How many cliffhangers in Davison's era are, it's actually me, Doctor? It happens at least 3 times I can think of right off the bat. Castrovalva, when the Portreeve is revealed to be the Master. So Davison's very first story. Of course, in Time Flight, when that's the only even reason for it to not obviously be the Master at the beginning and to have him in disguise is for the reveal of the cliffhanger, which is just dumb. Why was he in disguise in the first place? Time flight. And then here, where again, it's, oh, Doctor, you have been naive. Which I do like Anthony Ainley, the way he delivers the line. And Anthony Ainley's fine in this. Let me be clear. Anthony Ainley's performance is fine. And I love the way he delivers that line at the end. You have been naive. I think I've heard that in some fan edits before. There's a lot you can do with that line. But it's still, I mean, this is only a two-parter. It only gets one cliffhanger. And it has to be, oh, look, it's the Master, as if I didn't know as soon as I saw the character. And, oh, look, it's a cliffhanger where it's revealed to be the Master in the Davison era. Who would have thought? I do find it interesting we still haven't found out about Chameleon yet. You still don't know what's going on with the King. They're keeping the mystery of what's going on with the King intact. How is he supposed to be in two places at once? Why is the King here acting so differently? They do go out of their way in part one to explain that the King isn't acting like the King. The one guy who lives in the castle is like, I've been his man for years and years and years, and he's a good man. He doesn't act like this. So it really just keeps that intact so you don't find out what's going on here at the end of part one. I do enjoy the fact that the King wasn't startled when the TARDIS appeared like everyone else was. He just, demons, yes, come on, demons. That's a little, Especially, like in the 1200s, I did enjoy the sword fight at the end. I like how Davison, called him on it, slapped him, and took the sword. I like his line about, when he's holding the sword, he's like, I'll try not to disgrace it. The way Davison delivers that line is really good. The sword fight is good. Now, it does look choreographed. It does look like a staged, choreographed fight. I have to say that. It's not as good as, Ian's fight in the Romans. Because, man, that's good. You can obviously tell William must have had some, fencing or sword training. Because that fight in the Romans is actually really good, especially when you think about how the fights in the 60s, who usually win. That one fight when he's doom, 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 is really impressive. The sword fight between the Doctor and the Master in the Sea Devils, I also think is better. I like that one better than this one. But this one is still good. I still really enjoyed it. It lasted, I think, about the right length of time. I love the fact they were fighting up the stairwell. Because if you're in a medieval castle with a stairwell that curves like that, you have to fight up it. That's a rule. You have to do it. I think Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves does that as well. You have to do it. So I like the fact, they kind of fought all around a little bit before the Doctor won, and the Master, is like, it's me. So I did enjoy the sword fight. I liked part one. It was not the best. I know King's Demons doesn't have a very good reputation, and who knows, maybe it falls apart in part two. I don't know. But part one was fine. I enjoyed it. Wasn't anything stellar. It wasn't essential Doctor Who. It had some stuff that just kind of left me going, but it had, as I've talked about, some stuff I really liked. So, yeah, part one, fine. Enjoyable. I liked it enough to where I was thinking about just waiting until tomorrow to watch part two. I might just go ahead and watch part two, actually, we'll see. Enough to where I am looking forward to watching part two, I'll put it that way. So that's my thoughts on part one of The King's Demon. I've almost finished 80s Who. Wow. So I appreciate you sending that, Simon. It does mean a lot. Thank you very much. If there's anything you would like to send me, my mind just went blank. If there's anything you would like to send me, I do have a P.O. box. It is listed down in the description. If there's anything you want me to take a look at and review. I also have an Amazon wish list, which I do update regularly. I've added a couple things to it recently. A link to that is down there as well. I also have a Patreon. If you would like to support me that way, there's a link to that down there. Several different tiers to choose from, and that does help keep all the bills paid, so I certainly appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I do appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also would appreciate if you've enjoyed this video just clicking the like button and the subscribe button. That does help me out. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.